Alright, welcome back. Hope everyone's having a lovely day, a lovely night wherever you're from. And real quick before we get started, as always, I want to give a lovely shout out to the channel members on this channel. So thank you so much to these lovely commanders here that you see on screen. Thank you guys so much for your guys' constant generosity and support to me as always. It really means a lot to me, so thank you guys so much. And if you guys are actually interested in becoming a lovely commander yourself, if you are interested in any of these cute and lovely emotes, loyalty crown badges, you want a special role in the Discord, make sure to join the Discord. But as always, if you choose to do so, thank you so much. Just remember, that's not the only way that you can support me. Just watching the content like you are right now is truly the best way. Liking, subscribing, and commenting, everything really does help, so thank you guys so much. And for today's video, I apologize, it's been a few days, but I've just been really busy, getting close to my final season right now, so I'm trying to do my best, but also get uploads for you guys. Did a lot of testing for Soline though, some interesting results that I want to talk about. But as always with these type of videos, I like to break it down into 3 categories. I like to talk about the income and timing of everything, especially the type of account that you might have. Talk about the waifu aspect, which is always subjective, but I love to talk about it. But then also, I want to talk about her equipment, her skills, everything that you need, whether you should invest in her or not. Talk about it, get to testing. So let's get started. Now, first things first, when we're talking about the timing, I'm going to be honest. 99% of the players are going to be skipping her. We are in an awkward spot when it comes to the standard banner, where this is post-anniversary, so you might be broke or you might be saving because you've gotten lucky on the anniversary, but then we have winter. And winter's kind of like a question mark because during our summer, we ended up getting Summer Doro, and that's a Pilgrim, that's a 1% right there, and another character, which was a 2%, 4%, but they were both limited, but the fact that that 1% was there is a big question mark. Are we going to be getting a Winter Pilgrim? We will have to see. Don't know how often we are going to be seeing those limited pilgrims. Like I mentioned though, they opened Pandora's box with that, so we don't know what's going on with that. But then following that, we are going to be getting our New Year's Eve event. Now, we don't know who it is yet, but regardless of that, I do feel confident in saying that there's probably going to be a rerun. Last year when Rappy Red Hood came out, we ended up having a rerun of Scarlet Black Shadow, who was our New Year's Eve event before. So I have a feeling this year we are going to be getting her banner as the rerun. So it's going to be a lot for a lot of people, especially if you're new, because Rappy Red Hood is still an amazing character regardless. So that might be an insane pickup. So right now, if you are saving, I completely understand. But if you have the shotgun team, you might be a little bit interested in this character, or if you want to pick up another CDR. But before we get to any of that, I want to talk about the waifu aspect. And waifu aspect, for me anyway, you know, question marks, all right? She looks cute. I will give her that. But I don't know if I'd go any further because for me, you know, she looks adorable and stuff. Really serious. I loved her in the event. But I wouldn't go any further. You know, I'm not into Cunny. I'm sorry. I'm not. If I did, I'd go play, you know, Blue Archive or something. But looks great. I love the bell. I do love the plushie. She looks really adorable. Honestly, though the event made, you know, a few tears out of me. What can I say? But looked really good. Shooting poses, like whatever, you know, like I said, do not care. But I do like the fit. And especially coming from the event, I think it means a lot more. So I kind of appreciate that aspect. I do love the strut though, like I mentioned before, the chibi model. Just really, really solid. But the important aspect here, do you invest in her or not? Now, I do have that in testing, but honestly, it really depends on what you want for her. If you want to try to maximize her for the shotgun team and let her do some damage, I do think investing is actually going to be worthwhile because there was a difference. But if you're here just for CDR, then I have some good news because you really don't need to do much with her. If all you care about is her CDR to make any team that you're trying to go for have smoother rotations, all you need to focus on is her skills. You don't need to involve the dolls, just to equip her with gear, but don't overload it. And the only skill that you really need to care about is her skill 1. Her skill 1, because of this cooldown of burst, is so important. But there is a caveat here, and is that the minimum that you want to go for is at least skill level 8. Not 7, not 4. Make sure it's at least 8, because at level 8, it is 7 seconds, which is on par with D-Killer Wife. So that's just the minimum if you want to be on par with the max version of D-Killer Wife. After that, it's just more, and that's even better. Now, realistically, you do not need to invest in the skill 2 or the burst. You do not gain much from this unless you really want to focus on healing, just in case you really need it. I honestly doubt you might need this, but even if you want it, maybe you can go for it. I would never recommend going 10-7-7. I'd recommend going 10-4-4. Even 8-4-4 is still fine if you want to just go that route. So she's on par with D-Killer Wife. I think that's perfectly fine. Honestly though, when it comes down to her skill 1 with this max HP, I don't feel like it's enough for Cinderella, so I really wouldn't utilize it that way anyway. Now, I do have some testing when it came down to the electric team with Exia. So there's actual CDR on the team. Some interesting results there that I do want to talk about. But if you did overload her, I have her at SR level 5 doll. And I do have her overloaded at 0 though, obviously. But obviously just go for elemental, attack, the usual stuff, you know, max ammo if you want. I got some alright lines, not the worst, not the best. But I am surprised I got a good bit of elemental. So I was like, you know what, I'll take that, that's fine. I didn't even know I would go that far. That's pretty cool. Cube-wise, typical fashion, just go for your highest level cube. But if you want to slot her in just permanently, and you don't want to deal with just constantly switching up the cubes, I would unironically maybe go for Quantum Cube, so you could get some of that nice burst gauge filling speed even better. But that's just me. But if it's not at level 10, I wouldn't really recommend it unless you really care about damage output. So just keep it whatever you can. I should probably swap because I have a lot of max ammo at this point. It'd probably be better for me to swap to Bastion, but I'm just going with the highest level cube for the sake of this. Now, before I get started with testing, I want to give some context to it, and I also want to give some context about Soline herself with her damage, because she does do some good numbers with the shotgun team. And you're going to be seeing that, and it's because Tuve and Drake are going to be providing good numbers for her. One of the biggest problems with Soline is that she does not offer anything for herself. Pretty much what she does is dependent on teammates helping her. If not, she does nothing. She's not going to do much at all. Even with overload, she's not going to do much. It's just because none of her skills really buff her in any aspect. So what numbers you see is going to be really dependent on the shotgun team to help her out. Did invested and non-invested. Tested with the Exia team comparing with D-Killer Wife just to see how that would look with an invested, non-invested as well. And also see the damage on a non-element. So let's get started. So first things first, obviously I did the Union shooting range and I did Tuve, Leona, Doro, Drake, and Soline. Soline is not invested yet. However, 700 million non-invested off burst is pretty crazy. This is all coming from Tuve and Drake like I mentioned before. Really solid numbers. Honestly, I feel like Leona is also still kind of like a sleeper pick because doing 1.5 billion for what she does is kind of nice. The fact that she's keeping up with Drake, pretty damn solid. I feel like Leona doesn't get talked about enough, but she's really good. Doro obviously stupidly doing amazing, almost 7 billion. But comparing this same team but removing Leona, comparing with Grave, has some interesting results. Grave herself is not doing as good as Leona, but the numbers that she provides to the rest of the team is crazy. The buffs that Grave provide are just really damn solid. Doro getting at 7.5 billion now, it's just really good. And then I decided to test with the Exia team, just out of curiosity really. So I'm using Exia, Treasure 3 obviously, Mari, using Summer Anise, and Ein. Now I'm using D-Killer Wife here so we can see the results. Right now, Summer Anise is doing 2.2 billion, Ein doing 1.8 billion. D-Killer Wife getting close to 300 million, but nothing special. But if we were to swap from D-Killer Wife to Soline, what would change? Now, right here, we can see that there is almost around 100 million less for Summer Anise. Ein is honestly doing almost the same. She's just doing about like 50 million less. D-Killer Wife doing a bit more damage. So overall, yes, D-Killer Wife is doing a little bit more. But to add some context to this, this is a non-invested Soline comparing with a D-Killer Wife who is invested. That's still really, really solid. And the fact that this team can kind of be viable now with just swapping up another CDR is kind of goated. But honestly, I wouldn't expect much for DPS even with her invested, because now I want to talk about her being invested. And now we're comparing with Tuve, Leona, Doro, Drake, and Soline again. And this time, you can see that Soline is invested, doing 1.1 billion. 1.1 billion in comparison to when she was only doing 700 million. So up to you if you decide that this is what you want to invest in. I actually think that's a pretty good glow up for her, pretty good boost, especially the fact that she's not bursting herself and she's just off burst, just getting this damage naturally. Pretty nice that she's kind of getting close to our Leona over here. I think that's pretty solid in my opinion. Not the best, not the worst, but I do think that it's really good. And then also with Grave, as you can see, she's getting close to 1.4 billion with this boost. Really, really solid, honestly. She definitely got a glow up from when she was only doing 842 million. So really solid boost there. But the water team out the way, if we actually go back to that Exia team and just replace Soline here, there is a much smaller gap now. I believe it was a 50 million difference now with an invested D-Killer Wife versus a Soline now. And the fact that this gives you an option now that you can slot her in instead, so you have that CDR, but also if you really need a burst, you get that healing if you want to invest in that even more. I think it's really nice to have that option, but also at the same time, a lot of this utilization is going to be really helpful for the shotgun team specifically. If you do not have the shotgun team invested, then I'm gonna be honest, you're really not going to care much about this, and I completely understand. Shotgun team is a very expensive team to invest in, so I completely understand if you don't want to do it, but I do think that she's going to have a purpose. It's going to be interesting to see how she is. I remember last time a lot of people said that Delta was not going to be used much because of how she is, but she ended up having good usage in the wind raid, and I used her as well, and it actually came out pretty good. I managed to get my 3% frame, but pretty solid. Do let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Are you skipping? Are you still pulling? Did you enjoy the event story? What do you want to see for the winter Nikkes? Let me know. That is going to be it for me, so I hope you guys have a lovely day, lovely night wherever you're from, and as always, thank you so much for the constant support. Take care, and have a good one.